So I got involved in sports probably like most people do. You play some soccer, different team sports. I think my dad coached me in soccer a couple years when we were younger. Really exceptional at it. I did a little bit of jiu-jitsu, which I was probably a little bit better at. So maybe that was a sign that I would have been good at wrestling. But really, it happened when I got to high school, and they started talking to me about joining the wrestling team. And I think I wanted to play basketball my first year, if I remember correctly. But they got me out, and I guess I was pretty good at it pretty quickly. So I think first year high school, it pretty quickly became my sport. But I'm not sure if I knew that was going to be the case until it happened. I think the thing about wrestling that drew me in was that I was good at it pretty quickly. I wasn't that big. I think first year I wrestled in 44 kilos, does that make sense? 44, so that's like less than 100 pounds. I was pretty small, and so, at that age, some people are developing faster than others, and so I was struggling with a lot of sports where being bigger is beneficial, but this seemed to fit, and then I kind of grew through weight classes over time, but I guess that's the nice thing about wrestling is it can work for anybody of any size. I didn't even really know what wrestling was. Probably outside, like as a sport outside of what, people kind of intuit at what wrestling is, like you're kind of playing around with your friends or roughhousing or whatever, but Simon and Mooch recruited, a whole bunch of us in grade 9 and got us involved.
I used to scour the halls in September looking for kids that looked like wrestlers, and I always looked for little guys. A lot of those kids kind of, shy and timid, so I would walk up and I'd say, "You're coming out to the wrestling team."
I think my kind of style of wrestling, I'm not sure. Maybe I don't have great awareness of this. I think I was pretty good at everything. I think it's also evolved over time. I've had a lot of injuries through my career, and so you do one thing and then my hips are bothering me and the things I was doing don't really work, and you have to learn another way to get through it, and and then I've had neck issues and I have to learn to get through that, and so maybe versatility would be my strength. I think I was pretty good at learning how to wrestle different ways, and I think some of that goes back to Mooch taking me all over the world and exposing me to different styles, and I've spent a lot of time on the mats. I've wrestled a lot of matches. I've wrestled a lot of competitions. So I think the way Mooch turned me into a great wrestler is probably within like a couple weeks, I was probably a better wrestler than Mooch ever was. I would think so. It wasn't his actual technical ability as a wrestler, but it was the way he understood what I needed and found those opportunities, whether it was bringing me to the University of Guelph to get me more mat time there, getting me a lot of matches again early in my career was very important. And so I think that's what made him such a great coach, and what worked so well with me is that it didn't matter his own ability on the wrestling mat. The opportunities he gave me were always expanding because he was always trying to figure out how to solve the problem. So there wasn't the same limits, I think, as some other coaches. He could really think outside the box. It was also fun to be a part of this program. Your teammates become your friends, and there's a culture around it. It becomes your life. You compete individually, but we train together, and we'd spend time together. You travel together. You're in hotels in other countries together. And so it was a team culture around everything except for the competition. And then the competition, you go out there, and that's also a great thing about wrestling is that you walk out there by yourself and you figure it out. And I love that about it. But it was everything outside of the mat you did together. I'm not sure if in the moment I really realized that I was setting records or it was going the way it was. And I think part of that goes back to we really had a process for it. And so I really had some things I could focus on. And I think that's sometimes how you set records, is you don't worry about trying to set them. And it happens or it doesn't. But I think that at the time, at the end of the season, you realize that you've set some records, or you realize that you've done some cool things. In high school, my best achievement, it would be winning OFSA. It was so important we made it so important. Here it was the team goal. So it wasn't just your individual goal, but it was your team goal. And everyone's working towards it. And also winning it individually myself. Those were really big things in my high school career. The OFSA stuff was kind of maybe the most fun or the coolest of it all, even though it's on paper, it's maybe not as impressive for those who don't know, but I think it's like really what it was all about. People knew I was from jury, right? Like people would be like, that's like one of Mooch's guys. So I think you kind of realize when you're a part of it, the legacy that it brings and like who you're representing. So when I first found out about being inducted, they told me I couldn't tell anyone. And so I got stressed that I like had a secret and I wasn't allowed to tell people. I was very proud that I could be one of the people representing EC Jury and the program and Guelph Wrestling and also being inducted along with Mooch. I think, that's pretty cool. All the different people that have helped me along the way.